I never imagined a single night could tear apart everything I thought I knew about my life. But as I parked across the street, heart pounding, I saw her, my wife, in another man's embrace. Not a fleeting hug, not a casual laugh. This was intimate, secretive, something I had never been allowed to share. My chest tightened. My world shifted on its axis. The streetlight above stretched long shadows across the pavement, and I stood frozen, watching him lean close, whispering words that made her laugh, a laugh I hadn't heard in months. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles ached, trying desperately to tell myself I was imagining it. But it was real. Every brush of his hand, every tilt of her head, burned into me like betrayal incarnate. I left the car running, too paralyzed to move, too terrified to call out. I wanted to believe there was some innocent explanation I couldn't see yet. But deep down I knew I'd always been sensitive to the small signs. Missed dinners, sudden obsession with weekends away with friends, late-night messages she hurriedly hid when I entered the room. I had dismissed them as paranoia, my own insecurities. Now, on the sidewalk, the truth pressed down on me like a storm cloud ready to break. When she finally stepped away from him, her eyes scanning the street, I realized with a punch to the chest that she didn't see me. She never would have imagined I was there, silent, witnessing a betrayal too vast to comprehend. For a fleeting second, I considered driving away, abandoning the house, her, everything. Yet some cruel force kept me rooted, forcing me to see it all unfold. The drive home was quiet, every turn of the wheel trembling under my grip. I replayed the scene endlessly, noticing more with each recall. The casual graze of his hand, the way her body leaned toward him, the subtle smile she saved for strangers and lovers, but never for me. By the time I pulled into the driveway, the sky was dull and heavy. The house looked the same, but everything inside felt foreign. She greeted me as usual, her voice light and airy, oblivious, or pretending to be, that my world had collapsed. "Hey, how was your day?" she asked. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to demand answers. Instead, I nodded, forcing a hollow smile. "Fine, just tired." She didn't press, and I wondered if she ever would. Or perhaps this was her test, watching to see how much I could endure. I retreated to the bedroom, letting the tears come, letting the hurt wash over me in relentless waves. I thought about leaving her, packing a bag, walking out forever. But then a strange, fragile hope flickered. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe honesty, repair, some kind of understanding was still possible. It felt naive, even foolish, but I clung to it. The next days were unbearable. I moved like a ghost through the house, noticing every small detail. The lingering perfume on her wrist, the vibrating phone she suddenly hid, the way her eyes avoided mine. Each smile felt rehearsed, each word calculated. One evening, my voice barely steady, I asked, "Are you seeing someone?" She froze, expression unreadable. Calmly, almost rehearsed, she shook her head. "No, I don't know why you'd think that." But the hesitation in her eyes, the flicker of something unspoken, told me otherwise. I wanted to walk out then, rip away the pretense, and leave the life I'd built. But I stayed, trapped between rage and longing, betrayal and hope. I noticed everything more sharply. The odd messages on her laptop, coincidences that seemed too precise, her laughter that sounded too bright when talking about a friend. Every detail pricked at the fabric of my trust. I documented it all, not for revenge, but to make sense of chaos. One evening, I followed her, shaking. I parked across the street from the cafe she mentioned in passing. Through the window, I saw her with the same man, their knees brushing, her hand occasionally touching his arm. My chest felt split open. I turned the key in the ignition, unsure whether to confront her or drive away forever. Then, suddenly, she left the cafe without him, expression unreadable, walking briskly down the street. My instinct urged me to follow, but exhaustion, fear, and the realization that repeated exposure to this betrayal would hollow me stopped me. That night, the silence between us was suffocating. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make her feel even a fraction of my pain. But I stayed quiet, retreating once more, letting the night swallow me whole. Days blurred, routines became mechanical and empty. Then, one evening, she came to me, eyes wet, voice trembling. "I need to tell you something," she whispered, sitting at the bed's edge, hands wringing together. "I made a mistake. I've been seeing someone." The words fell like stones, confirming reality I had long feared. My mind spun, replaying every hollow laugh, every touch now tainted. "Why?" I asked, voice raw, barely audible. She exhaled shakily. "I don't know. I was lonely, stupid, and I let it happen. I didn't mean to hurt you. Not really. I just got lost. I wanted to hate her, to scream, to slam doors on everything. And yet, part of me still loved her. I remembered quiet mornings together, her laughter at my bad jokes, her hand in mine during thunderstorms. "I can't just forget this," I admitted finally, voice ragged. "I don't know if I can trust you again." "I know," she whispered. "I don't expect you to. I just had to be honest before it was too late." Her confession didn't erase the pain, but it opened a fragile door, a trembling possibility of repair, understanding, hope. That night we talked for hours, navigating a minefield of emotions, regrets, confessions. I shared my hurt, my fear, my anger. She explained the cracks in our marriage, the creeping loneliness, the moments that led her astray. It was brutal, raw, everything I feared. And yet, through tears and trembling hands, I saw a path forward. Not easy, not guaranteed, but one where honesty could replace deception, where pain could lead to understanding, where betrayal could become a lesson in resilience. The following months were not simple. Trust had to be rebuilt, brick by brick. I watched her carefully, cautiously believing. She changed, not perfectly, not instantly, but genuinely, choosing remorse, accountability, and healing. Slowly, the tight knot in my chest began to loosen. Months later, we sat together on the porch, evenings stretching quietly before us. I reached for her hand. She took it without hesitation. No grand declarations, no sweeping gestures, just acknowledgement of shared pain and the choice to try again. "I thought we were done," I admitted softly. "We were," she said, voice steady. "But sometimes, even when everything seems lost, there's a chance to find each other again." I nodded, past pain lingering but no longer crushing. Love wasn't erased by betrayal. It was reshaped, tested, strengthened. I didn't know what the future held. But for the first time in weeks, I felt a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, our marriage could survive. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting warm light across our porch, I realized the darkest moments sometimes reveal the brightest truths. Witnessing an end had allowed me to find a beginning. I had seen her in another man's arms and thought it was over. But in the quiet aftermath, in honesty and facing the truth, I found us, not perfect, not untouched, but real. And that, perhaps, was enough.